ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Menu Podcast. This is a podcast about food news. News that is food-worthy, food that is newsworthy. I am joined today by a very special guest host that is not Josh Elkin. He's better. His name, Jimmy Wong. Jimmy?
Hello, it's me. I'm on the show. I've replaced Josh forever. Yep, that's pretty much it. Josh was great while he lasted.
I really feel like this could be a forever thing. I know I'm getting ahead of myself. We're just getting it started, but I really hope at the very least that we could turn this into a forever thing, Jim.
Hey, I'm down with that. I've known you now, Dave, for what, like 4 or 5 years going on?
At least.
Yeah, so I feel like it's about time that we sealed the deal. Will you marry me? Will you have my baby? Sorry, dear wife.
No, it's fine. Honestly, I just need more babies in my life. So, hey, let's do it, man. For those of you that may not know the internet, Jimmy is really a huge part of it. You may know him from his show Feast of Fiction. You may know him from a little thing called Video Game High School. You may know him from his Magic the Gathering podcast. You really may know him from all the awesome things he's done with Rocket Jump. He's just an all-around cool guy, and we appreciate him as a guest host here on The Menu, where we talk about all sorts of silly, exciting things that happened in the food world.
I do love food, and I love discussing all things about it. So I'm very excited to launch in. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it is a pleasure. So I guess without further ado then, I would like to just mention to those of you that are watching live on twitch.tv/LiquorSauce, thank you so much for being here. This is broadcast live every single Wednesday at 2 p.m. It's also available in video on demand format at youtube.com/thejoshelkin. And those of you using your ear holes to listen on SoundCloud, we appreciate you. We do this every single week. So we are going to dive in now to these here topics. Jimmy? Let's discuss the most important topic of the day, a drastic shift in the fast food world. Scary times we live in.
Scary times. So I didn't realize this, but the people that own Burger King, which is Restaurant Brands International, just bought Louisiana Kitchen Popeyes.
They bought Popeyes.
How do you even buy Popeyes?
Is Popeyes the most... is Popeyes the most? I suppose they're the biggest competitor to Kentucky Fried Chicken, probably, right? Like
Probably.
They're giving them a run for their money.
Yeah, KFC is obviously the big daddy on top, but I haven't really seen that many Popeyes in the U.S. There are a few in Los Angeles where I live, but KFC is sort of synonymous with chicken to me.
Yeah, it's universal.
Popeyes is sort of like the second one in the line, if that makes sense.
I have to make a confession. So it's not available in Canada really at all. And I have to make a confession that had I not seen the film Little Nicky, I don't even know that I would know about Popeye's chicken.
I've actually never been inside the Popeyes. I've passed by a lot of them. I also didn't realize that
I feel like you're a better person for that, for not being in.
It does not look appetizing, honestly, to be totally honest. I'm actually not a Burger King fan either, but I am a Tim Hortons fan, which is also owned by Restaurant Brands International.
Yes, and now it's important to note that Tim Hortons was originally it's a Canadian corporation that was founded by the King of the North, Tim Horton, and
the King of the North.
And I think at some point or another there was a merger with Wendy's, and they were united. And everywhere you go in Canada nowadays, you will find a Tim Hortons side by side with a Wendy's. Most of them are the same restaurant. At some point, they had an ugly divorce. Wendy's kept custody of Wendy herself. And Tim Hortons moved on to greener pastures, only to be acquired by Burger King. I think I'd read it was like a $12 million acquisition, $12 billion acquisition, which if you are spending $12 billion on coffee and donuts, you mean it.
Yeah, that is crazy. And Timbits, who doesn't love a good Timbit?
And at this point, so now Burger King, $12 billion makes Tim Horton the Burger King in the North. And from there, they've now gone on to take a stab at the chicken game.
Yeah, it makes sense. They bought Popeyes for $1.8 billion. I don't know if that's a lot or like appropriate, because to me, Popeyes isn't like a major brand. It would, if Burger King was like, we just bought Wendy's for X number of dollars. I don't know what that number actually is, so I have no sort of frame of reference if 1.8 billion is a lot. I mean, obviously it's a lot of money, but I guess Burger King and the Restaurant Brands International, again, the most boring name of a company ever.
Yeah, really stale.
Wants to just get in that chicken game.
Well, I feel like if we're asking the question, is $1.8 billion even a lot anymore? I feel like the overall perceived value of $1 billion is drastically reduced. Too many things are being acquired for $1 billion and up nowadays. I guess what I'm
Yeah.
getting at is that like the price of companies is really outrageous.
Yeah,
I don't
I
want
mean,
to turn this into an economic stream or anything, but I feel like we're teetering on the edge of should we tackle inflation? Is it a problem?
there are 2,600 Popeyes across the world in 26 different countries, according to this article. So, good times.
Wow.
That's a lot. But there are 20,000 Burger Kings and Tim Hortons around the world.
Whoa.
So Popeyes is definitely a much smaller brand. But I feel like, I mean, the reason that this is exciting is that maybe they're going to make Popeyes sort of be held to the same quality and standards as Burger King, if that makes sense. Because whenever I saw Popeyes, it was always somewhat falling apart.
So let me ask you, what are your thoughts on Burger King in general?
I'm not a big fan of Burger King. I grew up a Wendy's kid and a Jack in the Box kid, and of course
There you go.
McDonald's. But
Yes.
Burger King to me was always too much bun and not enough meat. Sort of the Whopper for what it was. Every time I bought one, I was like, "Oh, the Whopper! It's gonna be a Whopper of a burger." It was more bun than anything else, I feel like.
Couldn't agree more. And as time went on, I found that they really tried to give you like far too thick of a tomato slice, entirely too much lettuce, a bunch of mayonnaise, just so much mayonnaise. You didn't need that much mayonnaise. And they started charging extra for the cheese. It was kind of. Yeah, like a standard Whopper, at least in Canada, maybe this isn't the case in the States. A standard Whopper in Canada does not have cheese.
It's not a burger then.
Thank you, Jimmy.
You would ask for a burger without cheese if you wanted that. A burger should always come with cheese.
In Canada, we draw far too great of a line between the hamburger and the cheeseburger.
Interesting. I mean, I guess that makes a little bit of sense. The other thing I didn't like Burger King for is they never had a good chicken sandwich. Their chicken sandwich was like a chicken hoagie, if you remember.
Great call. Like what is with that long bun?
Yeah, what is with that? It's
almost like a McRib, but with fried chicken instead.
Yeah, and you go to every other fast food restaurant and they have a more acceptable chicken burger. Although Wendy's wasn't that great either. Chick-fil-A obviously stands on top for a good chicken burger. But yeah, I never was a big fan of Burger King. I didn't like their fries compared to Wendy's or McDonald's. So I just didn't go that often. My brother Freddie, though, he loved Burger King. We used to go all the time because there's a Burger King right next to a Jack in the Box. So he'd go there and I'd go to Jack in the Box.
Sick move. Going for lunch and then splitting up and heading to different restaurants. I very much respect that move. And I guess that brings it back to the question, is this going to bring Popeye's standards up to Burger King standards, but are those standards even worth reaching for?
I don't know. I mean, right now, again, I've never gone into a Popeyes because it looks haggard every time I pass by it.
Just a sad restaurant.
Yeah, it does look sad. So, I mean, hopefully it'll fix it up. There is, however, a big growing trend for hot chicken in the U.S., like chicken from sort of like the Tennessee, Nashville sort of fried chicken that has spice in it. So I could see this as being sort of like Burger King being like, we should get into chicken game because one, chicken is sort of seen as more healthy than burger meat. So maybe there's like a play there that they're thinking like the trends are going towards chicken more than hamburgers these days. Who knows?
Ultimately, at the end of the day, do we think that this is a good move? In my opinion, I suppose. I think with like the Taco Bell KFC team up, and I was reading here, I didn't even realize because I don't think I've ever been in one of these either. Long John Silver's and A&W. Like I've never been inside of a long. I don't know if I ever want to go inside of
either, honestly.
A&W is fantastic here in Canada. Can't speak for it in the United States, but A&W makes a great burger, makes an even better chicken burger. Chubby chicken burger is terrific. I feel like, I guess if, from a business standpoint, this probably makes sense. What I hope is that one way or the other, either Burger King or Popeyes rub off on each other to become better. I think that's what happened back in the day with the Tim Hortons Wendy's merger. They just became better overall. Both the qualities of both restaurants was improved, and I'm hoping that the Tim Hortons and Burger King combo now as well makes both better. So maybe we could look forward to, you know what, here's the question. Do we even need better fast food? Do we need more reasons to go into fast food restaurants?
Nope.
I don't think so.
No, I mean, here's the thing. At the end of the day, I probably still won't go to a Burger King or Popeyes unless they do something that blows my mind so hard that I want to subject my body to more fast food. That part of my life is pretty much over, so.
Well, all right. Well, agreed then. Agreed that we don't need more fast food. So thanks for the effort, Burger King and Popeyes, but we'll maybe see you when you decide to make full sit-down restaurants with real menus.
See, there you go. The older you get, the more you appreciate a sit down restaurant and the experience. And fast food becomes sort of like this option, and like, oh god, I just have to get something fast. Or it's sort of like the I'm addicted to this one thing. I'll only get it once a month. In that case, that thing for me is like Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A is so good.
It is so good. Too bad they hate gay people. Just kidding. I think they've changed. Maybe.
Listen, we don't even have Chick-fil-A here, so I can't even weigh in on that point. But yes,
Right.
all the things you just said. Up next, Jimmy, a little thing called Walmart craft beer, which, as for those of you that may or may not know this, doesn't really exist.
It's all a lie. Until you go to Walmart and they say it's not a lie.
I think they got sued for this.
Yes, they did get sued. Very weird. I didn't realize Walmart had their own. So this is in Seattle. We have Costco, Kirkland brand stuff, and so Costco is like our big food retailer. That's now
big fan of Kirkland stuff.
Yeah, it's great. And so they have their own beers. They make their own vodka and stuff. Actually, their vodka is the exact same as Grey Goose. Last I checked. But I guess Walmart is also getting into the make your own liquor game, and they claim that they have a line of craft beer from a brewing company called Trouble Brewing.
Sounds made up.
Turns out the only trouble they're in is that they're lying.
Which these days isn't as much trouble as it should be.
No, turns out you can just say fake everything, and everything's fake news, and
everything's okay.
You can literally lie to the media and then blame them for calling you out on it. So really, lying is a-okay in today's world for whatever reason.
How did that happen? So it's an Irish brewery that doesn't match up to any of the information that Walmart gave about the company producing their craft beers. Way to go, Walmart.
Yeah, it's actually part of their bigger brand that just makes alcohol all around the world called WX brand, I guess. So they say it's craft beer. They're marketing it as craft beer, sort of like and it's probably going to be slightly more expensive, but it's not. And then someone sued because they lied to them.
They're definitely that's it. They're definitely charging more because they're capitalizing on the craft beer mayhem that we see out there today, where everybody's got to be it. Craft beers channel the inner hipster within every human being. Everybody's born with a little bit of hipster in them, and I can't help but feel that the craft beer is trying to capitalize on that because it's each one is so unique, and it's not like anything you could buy in a regular grocery store.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I like craft beer personally. I went to school in Vermont, and there's a lot of breweries around there, and Vermont's very close to Montreal as well.
Absolutely.
And so there's a huge thing for craft beers and small breweries around the area, and pretty much I resorted to only drinking craft beer in college because I was sick and tired of drinking like Miller Lights and Keystone Lights.
And don't get me wrong, those definitely get old very quickly.
Yeah, and you would use them to play beer pong with, and after a while, by the time I got to being a junior and senior, it was like, why would you even pollute your body with that? Why not make your drinking experience one to take a little pleasure in, sort of like, oh, let's go and get this beer this time because we haven't gotten from this brewery in a while.
Make every sip count.
Yeah, precisely.
I'm all for that, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I feel like what defines a craft beer? Is it the number of batches that they create? Is it how much they produce?
Yeah, the legal definition, according to what I'm reading here, is that you have to make less than 6 million barrels of beer, and then less than 25% of a non-craft brewer to own it. So it has to be like a real personal business kind of thing, like something that you run yourself and you're crafting yourself. So it's not just like going through you haven't developed a giant manufacturing plant and place to just crank out beers and send them to everyone.
So like Budweiser can go and invest 24%. They could buy 24% of a craft brewery. They could pump all their resources into it, and it would still count so long as they don't produce more than 6 million barrels. 6 million of something is a lot, of anything.
That's true. That is a lot of anything. Again, I have no idea what that number means, but
Yeah, like what does it visually represent? Like how
yeah.
big of a room do you need?
Yeah, and how many places are you sending the beer to? How much actual beer is that? It seems like a lot, but I guess over a year, if you're making a lot of beer, I don't know. I feel like that's on the very top end of craft beers. For the most part, like I enjoyed craft beers because it was fun to tour the breweries. It was fun to go into those areas and be like, oh, cool, this is like Vermont's brewery. This has been
Yeah.
here for 50 years. This is owned by the guy that is the son of the mayor of this town or whatever. So there's a lot of actual history in some of the craft beers. At the same time, I feel like everyone is just brewing stuff now. And so maybe it gets rid of the novelty a bit.
Well, yeah, definitely. As the craze becomes bigger and bigger, you could see the number of quote unquote craft beers Walmart was positioning. You could see that they're just trying. That is the whole appeal of going on, for me, of going on those craft brewery tours. Is yes, you meet all these interesting people that are associated to the brewery. You also get to taste test like 20 different super unique beers that all have. Some of them are great. Some of them are, in my opinion, have been quite awful. But that's kind of the charm of it, right? You're going to get some good stuff. You're going to get some stuff that makes you wish you never liked beer in the first place.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, do you like craft beer? Are you a beer person in general?
I am definitely a beer person. And I think that there are some people that will hate me for saying this. I've always loved just like a decent brand beer. Like I am particular. Like I'm not going to sit and slam back 20 Coors Light ever.
Yeah.
I also am not the biggest fan of Budweiser or any like the Bud Lights and all those. I just find that some of those can be a little too light for my taste. But the in between a craft beer and some kind of ultra light grocery store beer, has always been the sweet spot for me. So that's why I like a craft brewery. But as I get into them a little deeper and deeper, the real hoppy tastes that you get in a lot of those beers, a lot of the I had a root beer recently at a craft brewery. Which really tasted almost exactly like the soda, but it got you drunk. I thought that was terrific, but it's not the kind of thing that I could sit and have throughout an entire night of drinking beers and having snacks with friends and whatever else.
Yeah, there's a lot of sugar in that too. I mean, for me, it's like maybe it's the same thing as the reason I don't eat fast food anymore. Even though the Bud Lights and the Lights of the world are all very calorie light, I would rather go to a bar and get like, oh, cool, this is an amber ale from Corona, California, or whatever. Like, I would like to try out other stuff that is still on the light side of things, just because, like, I don't know, maybe I'm too old to subject my body to drinking really crappy beers if I have a choice to.
And also, I mean, it's also, let's be realistic. Like, we can afford to spend a little bit more. We don't need to be so conscientious. I don't need to buy 60 cans of something for $10 anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to buy 30 racks for whatever reason. And that's also like, I would happily pay $1 or $2 more for a drink if I actually enjoy drinking it. Like, I'm not going to go to a bar and buy a disgusting Coors Light if I can have another better beer that I can sip on and be like, complex flavors, for a couple bucks more or whatever.
That's a fantastic point, and I think that it really brings in the question of quantity versus quality. When you're young and you're in university, or you're even you're getting your first job out of university, you're on a budget, and so the quantity matters. As we mature and our tastes mature, we could be a little more picky, a little more specific.
Yep, I agree.
Except that Walmart was caught
is not
trying to take advantage of the people that want to be picky.
I don't know. I mean, Walmart is always taking advantage of people, I feel like, because a lot of people are forced to shop there because their prices are the lowest. And so if you're on like a lower yearly budget kind of family sort of things, then you're going to have to go to Walmart. So they've already got you by the throat, and now they're trying to market this whatever trouble brewery fake craft beer, I guess, so that the people that are slightly above the lowest income brackets can be like, I'm being fancy now, but it's not actually craft beer. I don't know though, like, beer is beer at the end of the day. I don't really care how it's labeled, but it is kind of silly that they're lying about it.
I'm definitely not down for lying. I'm definitely not down for Walmart lying, because it seems like it is a thing that, like you said, it taking advantage of people is not something that they're strangers to. But I guess at the end of the day, if the beer tastes good, you're happy with your purchase, you feel good with drinking it, then I guess that's right. Like, what does it matter?
Yeah. I mean, does it get
but
you drunk?
it does bring up the other questions of like what other products have we purchased in the past. Like you
Mm.
brought up Kirkland before, and I don't want to throw Kirkland under the bus by any means, because this is, I think, a positive. A lot of people suspect that Kirkland brand vodka, for example, is the exact same as Grey Goose. I don't know if you ever heard that rumor before.
It is I think it is the exact same.
I've
It comes
tasted
out of
it
the same
side by side.
distillery.
Yeah, tastes the same.
Yeah. Also, I hate vodka, and I remember Grey Goose being like the queen, king, whatever back in college, being like, "Oh, get Grey Goose, it's the best vodka," and still hating it. So I don't really care, but it is kind of cool that you can that to me is like the secret menu trick, where it's like you can pay less for a higher quality thing. In this case, at Walmart, you're paying more for something that isn't what it says it is. So it's kind of shitty.
Right. Yeah. Good point. Well, how about this? I'm not going to buy beer from Walmart.
Yeah, me neither. Unless it's really cheap and it's a beer I like.
Unless it meets a very certain set of requirements and conditions, then I will not purchase it from Walmart. But I mean, I'd be lying if I said that I shopped at Walmart that often anyway, so.
Yeah, I don't think I've been. The Walmarts in LA, you feel like you're gonna die when you walk in, for various reasons. They're all like, the last Walmart I went to in LA, there was literally garbage and like things were just thrown off the shelves in every single aisle. It was really gross.
I've never been a fan of any experience, and when I have had to go there, I've usually regretted it, and I've wondered how has my life taken me down this path?
Yeah. Me too.
Well, so I'd like to not skip a topic, but let's go to a similar related topic next.
Sure.
Before we discuss what I originally had planned next, but it's in the same vein. Boxed alcohol. This is now a thing.
Oh yeah.
People used to talk a ton of trash about boxed wine and about how it really didn't hold up in comparison to a fancy bottle of wine. And the reality is that it's proven that
box wine, it's just like a wine that's in a plastic bag in a box, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're just lugging around the box of wine. So it's made a comeback. Well, not really a comeback, because it never stopped being popular. It's garnered some respect in that some vineyards have produced a quality product that is sold in a bag in a box. And so now we are finding that other boozes are starting to be made in a box. And this brings up the question of quantity versus quality, because no matter what, they're going to assume right off the bat that this is not as good of a quality as the other alcohols out there.
Yeah, so there's only one box vodka right now. It's called Griffin Vault. I'm guessing it's also a plastic bag inside of a box.
Must be.
It's been distilled 5 times for $16. You get a liter, so it's about 33 shots. So that's pretty good.
That's good value. That's really good value.
Yeah, I mean, it seems. I mean, the box says like 5 times distilled on it, so I don't know if that's a good or a bad sign. Usually, if someone has to throw that in your face, they're trying to compensate for something.
Good point.
I don't like vodka anyway. I would be curious. The reason that I thought boxed wine was fine is that I don't know what I'm not like a sommelier or whatever. I don't know what the difference is between storing wine in a glass bottle as opposed to anything else. If it actually makes a difference, the packaging it's in. I could see like, oh, maybe the plastic will leak into the wine, but you'd have to like heat it up or something. Do you think vodka would actually eat away at the packaging potentially because it's like alcoholic?
I have to imagine that if they've released this product that they've tested that, but it's a great question. Over time, you would think that it would be somewhat corrosive to a plastic bag.
Maybe. I mean, it's 33 shots, so presumably you're buying this for a party and drinking all of it within that same night.
Yeah, you're not bringing your box of vodka home at the end of the party.
Yeah. The funny thing is that they advertised on their Instagram that it's get your float on. It's like the smoothest vodka for outdoor fun, and the bag floats. So you can.
So it's meant to be consumed in a pool or lake or other body of water.
Yeah, or maybe camping. I could see it being like a good camping option if you don't want to bring glass bottles anywhere. And or maybe if you're going to like a music festival, they don't allow you to bring in glass bottles usually. Like Coachella and stuff would check your car for glass.
Right.
So maybe this is like a good practical option for that sort of stuff.
What are your thoughts on vodka in general?
Yeah. I've never had vodka that made me go like, I want to have more of that because it all kind of tastes. So like if you take like uh scotch and whiskey and that rum and that realm of liquor, the darker stuff,
Yeah.
it's like going down a tree where you start somewhere and then you can go into scotch or you can go into whiskey or you can go into this. And each of those has their own different variations and there's a lot of
Absolutely.
variety. Vodka, it feels like a straight line. And the further down the line you get, the more it just tastes like nothing. So I don't understand the appeal of vodka. I know it's huge in obviously Russia and people like drink it just straight from the bottle or from, sip on it all day. But for me, it never added anything to a drink that I liked. And in general, I don't like mixed drinks, so I could see why girls and people that like sort of a lighter mixed drink might like it because you can't taste it as much. I just like sipping on whiskey though, is my thing. So
You're preaching to the choir there, and I've never had a shot of vodka or a sip of straight vodka and been like, wow, I'm really happy with my decision here. And I suppose I have had the odd mixed drink here or there that has been some cool combination of whatever's that has made me feel it made me enjoy it somewhat, but I'm not seeking those vodkas out. So I guess ultimately, at the end of the day, this isn't really the product for me. But back to the question about a quantity over quality. If you are hosting a party or you want to drink your brains out with a 5 times distilled 1 liter of vodka, I guess this is the way to go. Especially since I think you nailed it. Vodka is more or less vodka, and the variations in the flavor are really... I can't say that I've ever had a vodka and been like, wow, this is a particularly terrible vodka.
yeah, they're all just kind of crappy. Did you ever play Wine Bag Tag in college or at parties? So
No,
Wine
please
Bag
tell
Tag
me.
was a game that we would do with boxed wine because the bag was like nigh indestructible. So you would take it out of the box, and at parties you would essentially have the bag of boxed wine and you would huck it at someone as hard as you could. And if they couldn't catch it and they got tagged by it, you would yell wine bag tag and they would have to just drink from it for, X amount of time. And then they had the bag and could chuck it at someone else. Because the bag
So that's
never
a
broke.
great game. That is a great game, and you can't play that with a bottle.
No, you cannot play it.
Well, I mean, you
certainly
can. It's a lot more exciting and a lot more violent, and definitely not ending nearly as well.
Yeah, and you would slap the bag and everything, and it was great. It was a very fun, party environment game that involved usually no one getting hurt or things being broken as long as you weren't throwing it at like windows and stuff. But yeah, the bag never blew up. It was
No,
people
they're tough.
hucked it as hard as they could, and it would never blow up. So
And I think that's probably the thing with this Griffin Vault vodka is they've probably tested this bag. It must be a durable bag. It must be a bag that's ready to I don't know, to get the shit kicked out of it.
yeah.
I mean, that's the point. You're not drinking that much vodka at a party without getting ready to go in on the bag.
I guess the last thing I'll say about this is that the bag is 100% not very recyclable. So this is definitely a less environmentally friendly option than
a bottle.
Yeah.
That
so
is
if
true.
you're taking this camping, maybe it's like kind of a little bit of, you're hurting the environment and also helping it by not taking dangerous glass into the woods.
Right. Yeah. I guess I'm into it. Any way that we could facilitate alcohol consumption even more than we already have is I suppose something that society should be looking at. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm very torn because I'm all about drinking responsibly, folks.
Oh, yes. Very much
But
so. You've demonstrated that every time I've seen you on the internet. So
I've never seen you sober, Dave. This is the one time.
yeah, pretty much.
Well, good for you guys, Griffin Vault. You did it. You really took something as classy as vodka and made it even classier. I respect that.
Yeah.
Next
Bagging
up, let us
very
talk about. I know you're no stranger to Canada, Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
You like to frequent the Great North.
Yes.
You've sampled some of our delicacies here, haven't you?
I have, and I love all of it. When I was a kid, I grew up in Seattle, so my parents would always go to Vancouver because they said it had the best Chinatown.
And how did you agree or did you disagree?
Oh, I definitely agree. There are tons of Asians in Canada.
No, with regards to the Chinatown, was
yeah,
it the
exactly.
best?
It was certainly I mean, maybe I was too young to really gauge it. I wasn't super into food as a child. I didn't really think about it the same way I do now, but it was pretty good. I remember always having good meals at whatever dim sum place we went to or whatever. So Canada had a lot of good Chinese food, and more recently, in fact, these past 2 weekends, you'd be proud, I was in Montreal, followed by Vancouver and Victoria. So I have been taking a world tour of Canada recently, and I've just came back from Victoria a day ago.
Never been to Victoria. Been to Vancouver. Also heard the same argument that the Chinatown in Vancouver was the best. Now, Montreal is known for having a terrific Chinatown, and I stand by it, and I would defend it to the death if I needed to, because some of my favorite restaurants are in Montreal Chinatown.
Oh, nice.
But just that we can have that sort of debate is, I think, a really true testament to how good food can be in Canada, but more importantly, how diverse food could be in Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have any type of cuisine on the planet here in Montreal.
And it's all very good. I think every single thing that I've had in Canada food-wise, I've found myself being like, "Oh, good. I enjoy it quite a bit." Like, for instance, brunch in Canada is just out of control.
It's
Every
insane.
brunch is amazing in Canada, and I don't know why it turned into a brunch city or a brunch country, but it is.
And we are passionate about it. And I was saying this, I don't remember who I was talking with about this, but arguing that brunch is so popular here that I don't think I know anybody that doesn't visit a brunch restaurant at least once a week.
Yeah. I mean, brunch is just. I mean, maybe that's why Josh is such a breakfast king. Is that
he's obsessed.
He got his inspiration from Canadian brunches.
And so these items that I want to talk to you about, I want to ask you about, and how well you know them, either personally or just whatever flirtatious experiences you've had with these dishes. These are the dishes that America would like to thank Canada for. Obviously, you can't even talk about Canadian food without mentioning poutine. Your thoughts, Jimmy?
So I ate poutine a bunch when I was in Montreal. Montreal is known for poutine, right? The Quebec region.
Absolutely. It's Canada's national dish. But
what?
It hails from Quebec, the province of Quebec, which Montreal is a city within, and poutine wouldn't exist were it not for Quebec, and the best poutines exist in Quebec.
Wow. Okay. Well, I had poutine at like 3 or 4 different places. Josh actually gave me a list of places to go, but I was
places.
but I was at the whim of my group and the producers because we were filming stuff, so we didn't have a huge flexible schedule to just go somewhere and eat. But everywhere I did eat poutine, it was delicious. I don't know. I mean, this is like the ultimate sort of. We had a dish like this in Vermont. We called it the heart attack. It was like fries, gravy, bacon, meat, cheese, melted cheese, not cheese curds, what poutine has normally.
Right.
But I remember loving it a ton in college, and then when I ate real poutine, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is just that."
It's a game changer,
but more legitimate. So,
I think the first non-Canadian poutine that I ever had was in Vermont on a ski trip, and it was fries, cheese, and gravy, but it was like a cheddar cheese, and it was by no means. I mean, it was delicious. It really is a testament to how good of a combination that really is: fries, cheese, and gravy. But once you have the real deal with the cheese curds, it's really a religious experience.
Yeah. I remember being very, very hungry, and we got to a restaurant and seeing poutine there and just knowing what it was. I couldn't have thought of anything more appetizing in that moment. And boy, did it fill my stomach up.
And we're so passionate about it. You said you came to Montreal. How many times did you have poutine? Well, you were here for a weekend. How many times did you have poutine?
I had it every single day. Including at the airport.
And I feel like that's not like an exclusive experience. Like most people that I speak to that travel to Montreal or Quebec in general, that's the name of the game. Like, you come here and you've got to try poutines because there are so many varieties, but it's also because we are almost poutine pushers, us Montrealers. We need you to know how good it is. Almost to the point where we almost hurt ourselves. And to the detriment of the poutine, we force it on you so hard that at the end, you're kind of like, okay, like, I get it. Like, it's really, I can't have that much poutine.
Yeah, actually, a lot of the people on the crew were like, "Oh, no more poutine, man. No one, we don't want to go to this poutineery. We're done. We're good." And I was like,
Please,
"I want more. Give me more." I mean, I love French fries, right? I'm a huge, just salty potato goodness fan. And gravy is delicious. I love having gooey stuff on top of my fries. I love dipping my fries and stuff. And cheese obviously is amazing, and meat as well. So you combine these all together, it's great. It's like this. I mean, you need to drink a lot of water afterwards because it's a lot of salt, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
delicious.
Tell me, what was the most elaborate poutine you had while you were here?
I didn't actually have any super fancy poutines. I just had very basic. It was always just meat, gravy, curds, and fries. But it was always slightly different. Like one place had a lot of more shredded meat, and it was a lot sort of more like deli meats instead. One place was heavier on the sort of thick chunks of meat. So it always varied. I didn't have anything super elaborate.
I
Maybe I
respect
should
that.
have.
I'm a poutine purist, so I'm just about the fries, cheese, and gravy. When presented with the option of going like with the smoked meat, or I've had you can have like a cheeseburger, or you could even have
Yeah.
pizza poutine. When presented with those options, I will usually go for the OG poutine. So good on you
Yeah.
that you ventured out there. They could be great, and I would say that even if you went even to just a smoked meat poutine, for example, I mean that's you're daring. You're
I
trying
like
to broaden
meats.
your horizons.
The thing is, like, I always try to get protein with my meals, so I think adding the meat in is something that I'm just very used to in general. I always want to have some kind of meat on top.
Yeah, I definitely fries, cheese, and gravy does not offer a lot of protein
No,
at all.
no,
So
sir.
you definitely have to one it up. Well, so you are no stranger to poutine, and we could both agree that this is a very important global contribution by Canada.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is. They
we've
could
done a good
not do
job.
anything more important for us.
God
Thank
bless us
you.
for that. Well, so
Yeah.
then we should talk about the second thing. That's probably the next most important contribution would be maple syrup. Did you get to sample some maple syrups while you were here? The real deal. Not talking about that grocery store table syrup nonsense.
I didn't because whenever I sort of skipped breakfast and went straight to brunch, and at brunch I usually got like a hollandaise or an egg dish. So I didn't have many. I'm not a huge sweet tooth kind of guy, so maple syrup is delicious, and I've had real maple syrup again because I went to school in Vermont, and one of the traditions is like to announce the beginning of fall. I think the mayor or governor, sometimes Bernie Sanders himself, would tap the first tree for maple syrup. So I've had incredibly good maple syrup in my life, and I'm sure that the maple syrup in Canada is just as good, especially in the Quebec region.
Is Vermont just is it really? It's just Canada.
Where I went to school was 2 hours away from Montreal, and people would go there all the time because the drinking age was 18. So
Right. And that's the best spot to just jump over for a quick night of debauchery
yeah,
and then
seriously.
head back. And I like I just said, I had the first poutine outside of Canada was in Vermont. And now that I think about it, I have seen Vermont maple syrup and sampled Vermont maple syrup, and it's been
Oh,
almost identical. So
yeah.
are we jacking it from Vermont, or is Vermont taking it from us?
No, you
Or is
guys.
Vermont us? Is Vermont like a spy within the United States representing Canada?
People have talked about Vermont seceding before, and the laws are very different in Vermont too. Like you can't have billboards anywhere. Billboards are straight illegal. You can be nude in public, and there's no law against that either. So Vermont definitely
Whoa.
has its own thing going on, whatever it is. But yeah, it's like a close younger brother or a sibling or maybe an older brother to Canada. Who knows? But we share a lot of the same customs. We have beautiful falls as well because we're all in the same region of the world. So good times.
Did you ever have a chance to, while you were there or here, sample true Canadian bacon?
No, that I have not. And I next time I definitely will. Maybe I'll get a poutine with real Canadian bacon on it. The only Canadian bacon I know is just like off on shitty pizzas with pineapple.
Absolutely. It's very much, it's almost ham. It's almost exactly like ham. It's a little bit, slightly different, but not all that much. I think it's important to know that Canadian bacon is only referred to as Canadian bacon by Americans.
Americans, yeah.
Canadians, our bacon, as we know it, is exactly what you know as regular bacon.
Right.
Canadian bacon to us is back bacon. It is delicious. I think the only reason America has been caught up on this in the past is because it's called Canadian bacon. So they assume that we don't know what regular bacon is like.
That makes no
We're not-
sense.
We're not crazy. We're not stupid people. We know exactly what regular bacon is.
Yeah, exactly. That's hilarious.
It's
Yeah, who
good.
doesn't?
It's good Canadian bacon, but it's not breaking any molds here. Not breaking any ground, rather.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah, I'll have some real Canadian bacon next time I'm up there, or back bacon, as you so aptly called it.
But so some people suggest that, like, they're suggesting that, oh, well, we're going to thank Canada for the Canadian bacon. Honestly, keep your thanks on the Canadian bacon. We don't even really want it.
Yeah, sounds good to
How
me.
about a beaver tail? Did you ever mess with that?
I had them when I was growing up in Seattle, because some places in Seattle offered beaver tails and similar sort of dessert-y breakfast items. They're good. I'm not a huge sweet tooth fan, so I wouldn't willingly go out and get one. But I
Right.
remember eating it, and it was delicious and doughy and chewy and filled with sweet goodness. And I forgot
It's
what was on top, but it was garnished with some good shit.
Yeah, you could get them covered with all sorts. Like you get chocolate syrup. You could just get maple syrup. You could get like a maple spread or caramel spread. All delicious. I would say that the beaver tail is the closest thing to almost like a churro. It's kind of a donutty. It's a donut, but just a little more flat and a little crispier, almost like it's got more air inside of it, or air pockets. So you get like the crispier, flakier pieces. I think it's a fantastic Canadian tradition, specifically because it refers to the beaver, which is such an important part of Canadian culture. That I feel like the name carries more weight than the actual product itself, the actual food item itself.
The name is great. It's a beaver. I mean, it's awesome. It's like something you would get at the carnival or the fair. Like, Daddy, I want a beaver tail. Kind of thing.
Exactly. And then you don't get it. And then you wonder why your dad dislikes you so much and refuses to get you the treats that you want. And you say 20 years later, like, Dad, why did you shaft me so hard that time? I don't understand.
Your dad's like, because I didn't want you to have diabetes, child.
You'll thank me. Yeah, the beaver tail is a great product. I love it. But again, like the back bacon, I don't think we're setting any trends here with it. But I'll tell you what we are setting trends with. Now, you're probably no stranger to mac and cheese. Mac and cheese is a very delicious treat, or it could be a snack. It could be a full meal. It could be a side dish. It's just a fantastic thing. In Canada, we have what we like to call Kraft Dinner. It is a product produced by the Kraft Corporation. It is our version of mac and cheese. It is not even close to any other mac and cheese that you've ever had, because the cheese is almost like it's almost like a Cheeto flavoring powder that you combine with milk and butter. I don't think you could find a Canadian home that doesn't have Kraft Dinner. Have you ever had this?
I've had Kraft macaroni and cheese before, and it's always delicious. It's really easy to make. We would take this camping all the time because it was great to combine with like little smoky sausages, or we would put barbecue sauce on top. So I'm definitely no stranger to Kraft macaroni and cheese. In fact, I love Kraft macaroni and cheese whenever I eat it. I know it's probably not the healthiest thing in the world, but boy, is it fast.
You're welcome.
Oh, so good.
We gave you that one. That was from us. And I honestly think that that's maybe one of Canada's greatest contributions, is the box of Kraft Dinner, Kraft macaroni and cheese. We really made it easy to feel like a huge scumbag, because whenever you have a box of this, and you always eat a box to yourself. I mean, I can't speak for you, but if I make a box of Kraft Dinner, I'm having the whole box myself. I feel like a scumbag afterwards. I deserve it, and that's Canada's doing.
Yeah, you definitely deserve it.
So what's the final consensus there, Jimmy? Canada, good or bad?
Boy, that's a real tough one, Dave. If I had to choose one or the other, I would 100% settle on good. Considering that I've spent the majority of my life within driving distance of Canada. I grew up in Seattle, Washington, would go to Vancouver often to go to the Chinatown, or we'd go to Whistler so we could go enjoy the mountain in the summer or the winter. I went to school in Vermont, where we would trip up to Montreal to go drink at the age of 18 and above, and also eat delicious breakfasts and brunches. When Toronto is responsible for starting Freddie's video game career off as well. It was the World Series of Video Games in Toronto that Freddie and I both competed in. Freddie had just won Guitar Hero at the World Series of Video Games in Dallas. So that was like the next stop for all of us. So I've been back to Toronto a couple of times as well. I owe a large debt to Canada for being a formative part of my life and childhood experience. So overall, Canada, big thumbs up from me.
Canada really likes to keep you within arm's length. That's not just you. That's everyone from your country. We just always want to just be there to give you a big hug whenever you need it.
Well, America needs the biggest of hugs right now,
All of
so
the
we
hugs
much
right now.
appreciate it. Yeah, we'll take them.
Next up on the docket, I don't know if this is really like a court. I don't think we could call it a docket, but I'm going with it. The Sriracha seasoning stick. Did you see this, Jimmy?
I only saw this when you sent it to me, and I'm very excited because Sriracha is amazing.
Sriracha is amazing. Can we? I don't know how you feel about it. I've said this before. A lot of people have called me out for it. I still stand by it. I think it's my favorite hot sauce. Does it even count as a hot sauce?
Yeah, because it's on the Scoville units. It's like it's not it's like moderately spicy. It's not actually that spicy. It is amazing. Honestly, it may not be my favorite hot sauce. I like to pair certain hot sauces with different things. Like soup and pho with Sriracha is unbeatable, I think. I think that's like
Agreed.
a perfect pairing. I think a lot of veggies go really well with Sriracha, but I also am a big fan of like I think it's called Rooster hot sauce.
Is Rooster not the same as Sriracha?
Well, it's Red Rooster, so it's a little different. It's like Louisiana hot sauce. It's more liquidy. It's yeah, because Sriracha is based off of the specific kind of Sriracha chili.
Right.
Yeah, and Sriracha is great with a lot more Asian cuisines, and I think so. If it's an Asian cuisine, I will 100% have Sriracha with it. If it's an American cuisine, I'll have Red Rooster or I'll have like Crystal hot sauce with that.
I'll put Sriracha on a lot of things, and the thing that I've really been killing it with lately is pizza. Just any kind of pizza. I've been really thoroughly enjoying it. And I know a lot of people are about like a Frank's Red Hot or even a Tapatio or a Cholula with their pizza. I respect those. I still go to Sriracha every single time. And I think that's why it stands out as probably my favorite hot sauce. And
it does go on everything.
It really does very well. More so than Frank's. That old lady, she's been talking a lot of shit for a long time, and I'll have you know that I put Sriracha on more things.
Yeah, honestly, I liked Frank's for a long time, and then I started expanding my palate, and Frank's has sort of gone into the distance, sort of the same way that
it's like a starter
Sweet Baby
hot sauce.
Ray's barbecue sauce is a nice starter barbecue sauce.
Yeah. Just getting into the game. You're just breaking out into the hot sauce game. You want to break. You want to figure out what your palate's all about. Frank's is a great place to start because you can't hurt yourself with it. You can never ruin a meal with it.
Frank's Red Hot Sauce is like the Settlers of Catan of hot sauces. It's a nice bridge into the world, and then you go deep. Now I'm like ghost peppering shit up, like because I'm like I want to make my mouth feel like it's a jacuzzi.
You lunatic. So. You're a madman. Well,
but Sriracha sticks. Let's talk about these sticks.
Yeah, exactly. So given my passion for Sriracha, Josh even more so, he's going to be really excited about this because Sriracha sticks, they are now going to allow you to season meats and other things way better than the liquid sauce ever could.
It's true. You can actually cook with these.
Yeah, they're talking, like as a rub or as like if you were going to make ribs and you're going to rub it down with some sort of, cayenne or paprika mixture, like you could go for Sriracha and really take like a barbecue Asian rib, like a rack. Like now you're talking.
It's brilliant, because Sriracha in liquid form, it's a thicker liquid. You can never make it in powder form. But now with these sticks, you can grind them down. You can throw it in a soup, I guess.
Yeah, because the sauce you would typically add to the soup after the fact. This you can now infuse it.
Chunky. Yeah, you can infuse it. You can cook it into the broth, which
Here's
is
the
very
real problem.
exciting.
I'm just going to end up putting this in hot water and making Sriracha tea because I'm a real jerk.
You're the crazy one, dude. That sounds awful. I mean, go for it. Let me know how it works out.
I certainly will let you know how it turns out. I think this is pretty exciting. I mean, they're talking about how they want to eventually have Sriracha garlic butter and Sriracha teriyaki sticks. All these different sticks that will be infused with the Sriracha goodness. I think that it just makes sense that they do this. I feel like the world is crazy for Sriracha these days, so I feel like they could do no wrong from a business standpoint. This is probably brilliant, but in terms of flavor added to something, infused into something, time will tell. I'll have to try it out first before I could really say whether or not, but it seems to me like this is a great idea.
I'm surprised that they didn't do something like this earlier, so I'm glad that they're finally doing it. And for those wondering if you can buy it yet, it's supposed to come out in February this month. So just stay tuned to the website, I guess, which is Sriracha Sticks, STIX.com. Actually, I'll just link it in chat for those watching on Twitch.
There you go. I
Oops,
wonder. I wonder
I'm
if.
posting a link.
Oh, don't worry. One of our mods will figure it out. Oops, got timed out. You're banned from the channel now that you're streaming to. Way to go, Jimmy. I think that this. I think that this is a great product. I'm very curious to see what it's all about. I love Sriracha, and I will try things with Sriracha. And actually, what this is making me think is, how have I not seen more Sriracha variety products out there? The only other thing that I've ever had is the Sriracha brand, this same brand mayonnaise. Have you ever had that?
Oh, that sounds awesome. I had Sriracha infused ketchup once from Heinz, and it wasn't that good. It didn't work how I wanted it to.
So, and that's more of like a collab between Heinz and the Sriracha folks, whereas this was an actual Sriracha product. They have it here in Canadian grocery stores. It's not as much like mayo as you would think it would be, but it is terrific. It's got the kick, the spice, just almost like a more tame mayonnaise, if that's possible.
Yeah.
So I guess if this paves the way for more Sriracha products, count me in.
Yeah, and if you want to keep your nice Sriracha tea hot and warm, we can talk about our final topic of the day.
Our final topic of the day is our dumb food item of the week, or day. We still haven't settled on what we're going to call it yet, so, let us know. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. This is interesting. It's a product by Starbucks, by Starbucks, and it is a $150 coffee mug. It is called the Ember. Is this a good idea or a bad idea?
This seems like a good idea, but an overpriced one at that. It's like you're buying this from Sky Mall. This is way too expensive for what it does.
It sold out right away.
Of course it did. People love Starbucks. They're obsessed. They have, when you actually posted the link to me, I thought you were talking about Starbucks came out with a giant mug that's like a 138-ounce mug that's like the size of my body. And iJustine, another YouTuber, bought it, and she's been posting Instagram pictures with it. I thought that's what the dumb thing of the week was. And she, of course, is one of those people that's obsessed with Starbucks and will buy anything that they put out. So this is 100% something that makes sense that it sold out because people love Starbucks to a giant degree.
Love Starbucks, love technology. This offers all of it. This product is a mug that will keep your coffee at a constant temperature.
Mm-hmm. It's
Set
like a
it and
thermos.
forget it.
Yeah, set it and forget it. And you can alter it with your smartphone. It has like sort of, they explain it's like a wax kind of insulation on the inside so that it sets the temperature and keeps it there instead of like a thermos, which could vary it and be anywhere from as hot as you want it and got it to like way colder. So it's interesting. It's much more consistent, I guess.
Seems like they're just trying to cut microwaves out of the deal. They don't want you using microwaves to reheat your coffee. I know.
You should never.
I feel like that's the go-to way. It ruins it.
You should never
totally
do that. It does ruin it. Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. I mean, it makes sense what it does. I try to drink my coffee by the time it doesn't.
That's what I was just gonna say. Like, how long are you sitting on your coffee for?
It's true.
This is an unacceptable length of time if it's getting that cold that you need a mug to maintain it. You should be drinking your coffee within the first, half an hour at the longest? At the longest.
Yeah, I mean, some people I could see if they drank the whole cup in that time would be too much caffeine intake, and they need to spread it out over the day. In which case, iced coffee is your option for that. But I don't know. Here's the thing: I would try this if someone gave one to me to try out. I would try it for a couple of days and see if I liked it. I don't think I'm just going to go and buy this because I drink my coffee fast enough that I don't need it to be reheated. And if it does get too cold, I just put ice in it and it becomes iced coffee.
Certainly agree with that. I ain't no punk. I drink my coffee on time. I do not need a product to delay the coffee consumption or to allow me to delay the coffee consumption. And I like your attitude, Jimmy. If you don't drink it fast enough, then you just got to drop some ice in it and switch over to iced coffee. Step your coffee drinking game up is what we're trying to get at.
Yeah, and turns out, so this is made by Ammunition Group, the same company that made, you guessed it, Beats by Dre. So if they know how to make something overpriced, there you go. This is it.
$150 for a thermos might be the most expensive thermos out there.
Yeah, I
And
probably
leave it to Beats to pull that one off.
It makes sense. Here's the thing. You should never buy Beats by Dre headphones. Someday I may be sponsored by them and reverse that messaging. But as someone that does music and as an audiophile, you do not need to spend that much money on headphones because they're actually not that much better than your regular pair of whatever else.
Agree wholeheartedly. I went side-by-side comparison with Beats and a set of Bose headphones that I'm using right now. While I understand that these Bose headphones are not the best out there, they are perfectly comfortable with an excellent sound quality.
Yeah, and like Beats is about the image, right? It's like the whole point behind it's what you wear to portray that you are, X amount of cool or X amount of wealthy enough to afford those incredibly overpriced headphones. It's an image thing more than anything else. And if you want to pay for the image of Beats, then go for it. But then you're just buying into corporate culture, bro.
They're like, Starbucks, that's worth a lot of money. Let's take some of it. And
Yeah,
it's working.
we like money. It is working. I mean, people have brand allegiance to Starbucks more than anything else, and that's fueling the need to buy stuff like this. People that already geek over gadgets like this. People that are like, oh, I could totally use this. I hate it when my coffee gets cold. So
they're saying that the mug costs more than a Keurig. It costs roughly 75 tall coffees. Why wouldn't you just go buy a backup coffee once your first one gets cold? I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
I suppose over enough time it'll make sense. But still, who's dishing out $150 on a mug, on a glorified mug?
That you need to charge and wash. The reason I like getting coffee is that when you're done with it, you throw that thing away.
Yeah, agreed. Jimmy, what's the verdict? Is this a dumb product or is this a smart product?
It's a smart product with a dumb price point.
Nailed it. That's how you bring it home, Jimmy.
Thanks, dude. Look.
Well, I suppose that's all our topics for this week. I think we did it. I think we did. We made a podcast.
Hey, cool. So Josh isn't coming back, right? This is just me now.
Count me in for that.
All right,
Jimmy.
Sorry,
I've
Josh.
been saying I need a lot less Josh in my life, so count me in.
Sweet. Well, good. That's all we need.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this brings a conclusion to the Menu Podcast. I would like to say a very special thank you to our special guest host, Jimmy Wong. Jimmy, you want to shout yourself out on all the things that you do?
Sure. The easiest way to find me on Twitter is at JFWONG. And there I'll post everything new I do. My profile has links to pretty much all my other stuff. It's the easiest way to get in contact with me as well, if you want to tweet at me or send me a message. So yeah, JF Wong on Twitter.
You certainly are a busy man these days. You're rocking a lot of different things on the internet, and I respect all that you do, and I'm a big fan of all that you do.
Thanks, man.
So
Love you
hopefully
too,
hopefully one day you could join us back on this show. It would truly be a pleasure to have you anytime. For those of you that watched live on Twitch, thank you so much for joining us. We do this every single Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. The video on demand will be uploaded to youtube.com/thejoshelkin. And for those of you listening on SoundCloud, you can hear us every single week on soundcloud.com.
SoundCloud?
/ the menu pod. It's a weird site we're working on. It's a new venture between Josh and I. It's just the sound of clowns for all of eternity on loop. No, that's on SoundCloud. You can see us. We upload this immediately after it airs. Thank you all so much, and we will see you in the next episode.
Au revoir.